All right, thank you, everybody, and thank you for coming out tonight. We now welcome Reverend Timothy Atkin-Jones, Institute trustee and pastor of the historic Bethany Baptist Church in Newark, to offer an opening prayer.
Good evening, everyone. How good and how pleasant it is when brethren and sisters dwell together in unity. So good to be able to look out and to see. And let me say welcome, everyone, to the 17th annual gala for the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice. Won't you put your hands together? And I believe that for these 17 years, this institute has absolutely been doing the work of God. And so it seems appropriate then that we might begin with a word of prayer. So won't you bow with me? Dear God, if it is indeed true that power properly understood is the ability to achieve purpose, then we, dear God, are doubly in debt to you. We recognize, God, that as creator, that you are indeed the one that grants us purpose, and it is clear that in you we find our power. And so we thank you for this institute and all that have gathered in the purpose that unites us, the burning desire to see a more just world. We say thank you for the power you've granted us, the ideas, the energy, the disagreements that forge better ideas, the resources, the gifting, the education, the experience, the tenacity and ferocity that comes when all of the folk gathered here and the businesses and locales and congregations represented bring all of that to bear for the work of justice. Yes, God, we are united in purpose and united in you giving us this power, and we thank you. We thank you, God, for Brother Haygood and the entire staff of the Institute that labors with the purpose of putting this power to use. We thank you for the board, which guides and leads and moves this institute. And we're grateful, dear God, for all of those that have gathered here this evening to celebrate and be inspired. In light, God, of all we've endured over the course of these last few years, including not even being able to gather for this auspicious event, in light of all the pain and the sad magnifying of injustice in the face of trauma and tragedy, we are blessed, God, to be able to gather, to celebrate victories, and to plot even greater works ahead. I believe it's true, God, that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard all of the great work yet to be done by the Institute and all of the partners gathered. So, God, help us tonight to celebrate, to be encouraged on this evening. Won't you bless our food and our fellowship, and indeed make this a night to remember. It's in your great name we pray. Amen and amen. Now might we all stand as we are led in the singing of the first and third verses of the Black National Anthem by the Honorable Tiffany Williams Brewer.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Ray facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in your path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, O God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy hand. May we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Thank you for that wonderful performance. We now invite to the stage New Jersey Institute for Social Justice President and CEO Ryan Haygood for welcoming remarks.
Jeez, can we give it up one more time for Tiffany? Oh my gosh. Jeez. I just got to express to you how wonderful it is to see you all here. We exceed 400 people in this space, and that's a testament to you all. And I want to acknowledge, folks say I want to name it. I want to name that when you cram 400 people into a space, it requires a certain level of flexibility. And so I do just want to extend my deepest apology to my dear friend and colleague, Carolyn Chang, one of the best lawyers in New Jersey, who's joining us in the upper room and participating from there. Just wave to Carolyn Chang, if you would, please. I want to welcome you to this beautiful, beautiful space that we know as NJPAC, and to the Institute's 17th annual gala. This is our Advocacy is Power celebration. And I am so thankful to be back with you in person after being separated virtually for 3 years. We are thrilled to celebrate tonight with you, our friends, our partners, our sponsors, our mighty board of trustees, and of course, our spectacular honorees. Now in my 7th year at the Institute, I couldn't be more grateful to do this work that feeds my soul and do racial justice with all of you in the way that our founders, Amy and Alan Lowenstein, intended when they founded us nearly 25 years ago. They thought of us then and now as a fierce, independent, and truth-telling organization, that our independence infuses, it inspires all that we are at the Institute. And I'd like to ask the Institute's mighty, mighty team and board of trustees to please stand and receive from you all a warm round of applause. The theme of our gala tonight, Advocacy is Power, is inspired by Dr. King's belief that, quote, power properly understood is the ability to achieve purpose. It is the strength required to bring about social, political, and economic changes. This theme, I think, perfectly reflects the spirit of our spectacular team, who work day in and out to empower Black and other communities of color. And tonight we celebrate the fruits of that advocacy, even as we double down on our commitment to do more racial and social justice here in New Jersey and beyond, even as we recognize that the change Dr. King referenced is more urgent now than ever. Indeed, as you all know, as we gather this evening, we're continuing to emerge from a COVID-19 pandemic that has profoundly impacted all of us, and some of us personally in unimaginable ways. This pandemic reminds us that each of us stands on a foundation that is cracked by structural racism, and that those cracks erupt into earthquakes in Black and other communities of color, as we've seen. Indeed, COVID-19 was the leading cause of death of Black people in this state in 2020. But as you know, even before this pandemic, Black and brown people in New Jersey already confronted some of the worst racial inequality in America here. We like to think of ourselves, to be sure, as progressive and forward-thinking in the Garden State. And while that's an important part of our story, it is also true that in too many ways, New Jersey is a modern-day version of Dr. King's Two Americas. In white New Jersey, for example, the median household wealth is $322,500, but it's just $17,700 in Black New Jersey. That's a more than $300,000 racial wealth gap. To be clear, the two New Jerseys were designed during our founding, when the Garden State was referred to as the slave state of the North. It was at our founding that New Jersey, as a colony, incentivized slavery by giving English settlers an additional 150 acres of land for each enslaved Black person they brought with them to work on their land. And so by 1830, 2/3 of all enslaved people in the North were held right here in New Jersey. Ryan, why, you ask? Why does all that history matter today in 2022? That was some time ago. Why, Ryan, you talking about slavery in New Jersey in 2022? And the answer is because we can draw a direct line from that shameful history to the present moment, which is why we face, as Black and other people of color, some of the worst inequality in the country in every direction, in the area of wealth, health, education, democracy, and access to justice. And as you all know, people of conscience and of faith, advocates, you know that we have got to and can do better. When I think about doing better, I'm always led to think about my wife, a longtime educator in the city of Newark, right here. I would just ask her to please stand. If she would just please stand. Her name is Charity, and I refer to her as Sunshine. And there's a story I'd like to tell about Sunshine on this point. It was at the beginning of the pandemic that Superintendent Leon, who joins us tonight, urged Charity and all of the administrators to distribute all the computers they had in their schools to their scholars so that their scholars could learn online at home. Charity and her team sprung into action, literally putting themselves in harm's way, and delivered all the computers they had at Avon Avenue School to their scholars' homes, home deliveries of laptop computers. But in the end, Charity was about 125 computers short of each scholar getting a computer. There were kids who were sharing their devices. Moved by this incredible effort to deliver computers, Michael Rowe, who hosts a show called Returning a Favor, in an incredible act of generosity, gifted $25,000 to Avon Avenue School, making up the difference so that the additional 125 kids could get laptops. And these on your screen are two of Charity students who received those computers. It was upon receiving these computers, Upon receiving these computers, however, another challenge quickly emerged, which is not lost on you all, that these two and other scholars, what they lack, you all? They now have the world's most powerful devices in their laps, but they and too many other scholars lacked the ability to use it because they lacked internet. Now, Charity, were she to tell this story, she would quickly acknowledge what your eyes immediately see in this photo. That is, the shameful conditions under which these two boys, which I think of here in the other New Jersey that I talked about, in 2020, in one of the wealthiest states in the country, were forced to learn. But she would also focus you on the ingenuity, the dignity, the determination, and the sophistication of these boys, that they fashioned for themselves chairs and a desk. And they moved their computers to the windowsill where they could borrow their neighbor's Wi-Fi. But in telling this story, I think Charity would also remind us that individual acts of heroism, whether Michael Rowe's generosity or Charity and her team or other educators across New Jersey delivering computers, individual acts of heroism are not replacements for broken systems. And the work of fixing broken systems, that is the work of the Institute. That is the work of our collective advocacy. Because we know that the cracks in our foundation, they also live in our systems. They were created by generations of design, not by individual behaviors. At the Institute, we believe that building power in our communities through advocacy is the way to repair those cracks and to rebuild a foundation. Advocacy from the ground up in our communities. Advocacy in the streets. Advocacy in the legislature. And advocacy in the courtroom. So while it is true that Jim Crow-like voter suppression sweeps across this country, our advocacy has focused with laser-like precision on building an expansive democracy in New Jersey. Together, we restored the right to vote to our colleague and 83,000 people who could not vote because they had criminal convictions. And we will do the same for those who still can't vote by virtue of their current incarceration. Together, we ended prison-based gerrymandering. We achieved online voter registration through which more than 400,000 voters registered in 2020. And on the same day that Georgia passed a shameful package of voter suppression bills, our advocacy led New Jersey to provide 9 days of in-person early voting. So that for the first time in history, New Jersey voters participated in Souls to the Polls, a long-standing tradition where voters marched to the polls after their worship services. And while America's talking about ways to finally end police violence, to reduce the footprint of law enforcement, and to bring accountability to policing and to truly keep our communities safe, our advocacy got a law passed that will reinvest $8.4 million from New Jersey's broken youth prison system into restorative justice programs designed to build up our kids, not in locking them up. And our work on the independent monitoring team under former Attorney General Peter Harvey led to the community engagement in the Newark Police Division's development of 16 new reform policies designed to build the kind of police-community relationship the residents here have urged for more than 50 years, going back to the Newark Rebellion, inspired by the incredible courage of our honoree Darnella Frazier. We worked with New Jersey's Attorney General to establish a directive that protects the right of people to record police activity. And tying all of this work together, we and our Say the Word coalition partners, some of whom will be honored this evening, are fighting for historic legislation to create a reparations task force in New Jersey. We are not afraid, Mayor Rasbaraka, as he likes to say the word reparations. And finally, this summer, I had the honor of a lifetime when I accompanied legendary attorney and longtime mentor of mine and our board chair, Paulette Brown, Mr. Fred Gray, to the White House, where he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Biden. Fred Gray was the legal engine behind the civil rights movement. He represented iconic figures like Rosa Parks, Claudette Colvin, and even Dr. King. Now at 91, Mr. Gray's advocacy continues to inspire us every day. In fact, his lifetime of service inspired us to partner with our friends at change.org, finally leading Mr. Gray to the White House to receive America's highest honor after more than 22,000 of you signed our change.org petition. You see, advocacy is both our power and it also builds power in communities to achieve purpose and to bring about change. Power to connect Black, brown, and other people of color to the prosperity and opportunity in our state. Power to build the most inclusive democracy in America. Power to transform justice. Power to deeply invest in the success of our youth and to build systems that keep our communities safe. Power to hold people in positions of power accountable to us, the people. And finally, with you by our side in this collective advocacy, power to achieve truth, reconciliation, and reparation, to repair the cracks of structural racism in our foundation and to build a new foundation here in New Jersey and beyond. And I thank you all for joining us tonight to do that important work. God bless you, and let's look forward to a great night. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate y'all. Okay, thank you. Thank you. The applause is really all yours. I mean it when I say it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for standing with us. Thank you for crowding into a room. Again, thank you, Attorney Carolyn Chang, for joining the upper room. I now bring back to the stage Reverend Atkins Jones to introduce an honoree.
We have a special treat tonight. New York Mayor Ras Baraka will present his spoken word performance of What We Want.
Only for Ryan Haygood. So before I start, I just want to say thank you to the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, particularly under the leadership of Ryan Haygood, who I think has been doing incredible work throughout the state. Trying to address the imbalance in this country, the inequity that invariably causes sickness and disease, particularly in communities of color. They're trying to right those wrongs. The imbalance rottens us to the core of our democracy. And what the Institute for Social Justice does is immeasurable. And we owe them a debt of gratitude here in this state because they say the things that many people are afraid to say and fight the issues that many of us are afraid to fight. The last thing is that they give us our imagination back, because the one thing that oppression takes away from you is your ability to imagine. My frat brother, Cornel West, says a radical imagination. It takes it away from you. Harriet Tubman said she would have freed more slaves if only they knew they were slaves. They couldn't imagine a place other than the place they were at that present time. And Ryan Haygood, Institute for Social Justice, helps us imagine a different place. And that's what this poem, What We Want, is about. It's about imagining a place different than where we are now. And a lot of people ask during the time of George Floyd, so what exactly do you guys want? We want to love ourselves freely. Unfettered images of our grandmothers in our dreams. We want to praise our own God. And we want to see his children's reflection we want to see his reflection in our children's eyes. We want to draw them blue like jazz with long dreads and thick lips. We want music every day. And especially on Sunday, we want dancing to be a prerequisite for success. We want the blues, jazz, funk, rock, soul, hip-hop, R&B, and the wealth created from it to be our baby's inheritance. And we want it taught in every elementary school all over the world. We want to speak for ourselves. We want to represent ourselves. We don't want handouts. We don't want handouts. We just want everything we created and everything that was created as a result of what we created, and we want it with interest. We need a guaranteed income for all, education like fresh air and food and water and shelter, and be free from sickness and disease. We need long life to collectively oppose death and stagnation. We need ideas and imagination. We should be against hoods like the sheeted white ones, the ones that take and keep taking from the meek and often defenseless, even the glorified trap. Yeah, we against the trap too. We need our skies free from poison to be able to breathe in sunshine and feel the wind on our faces. We need an end to war and oppression. We need the people to own their own labor. We need every corner of every country developed. Yeah, we need every corner of every country developed and every community empowered. We need it all turned right side up. We need the raw materials from the earth used to end poverty anywhere it exists. We need the calluses on our hands and the pains in our lower back to be added to our savings. We need healthcare to be free and information to be free and ideas to be free and the news to be free and learning to be free. Yeah, and the people, we need them to be free too. Yeah, the people, they got to be free. We need to end the slavery in all forms and end the exploitation. And we need all the money and all the banks in every part of the world to be used for our collective benefit. We need to outlaw lies and teach the people's history in all languages from the viewpoint of all of us, not just a few of us. We need to allow everyone to vote. We need to allow everyone to vote, to be represented no matter where they are or what language they speak or who they love or what religion or God they pray to. We need to dismantle the Electoral College and make racism and white supremacy illegal. We need to ban the Confederate flag and label every monument to genocide with a red letter or just plain tear them the hell down. We need to replace them with statues of black and brown women that carried us through the darkest moments of history. We need to destroy all nuclear weapons, but first start with automatic rifles. We need to replace the war on drugs with a war on ignorance. We need to destroy the pipeline, the cages, and use the savings to develop the human spirit to treat illness, social, mental, and physical. We need freedom, yeah. We need freedom, not just the Bill of Rights, but the rights to build our own lives, to be free from destituteness and hatred and hungry children, free from sickness with cures and underdevelopment and cold winter nights with no heat, free from losing our land, our block, our community, our homes, free from choking to death in our own backyard. Yeah, free from choking to death in our own backyard in schools that undermine our self-esteem, free from praising those that lynched us. We need to be free from praising those that lynch us and free to pray in any language and anyone we choose. Free to be free how we define it. Yeah, we need to be free how we define it. Free enough to know that the world is made up of all of us, not some of us, and that only when all of us are free, none of us will be, and that our collective existence is tied directly to our individual's existence, a coexistence with ourselves. Yeah, one big we, one big outrageous we. This is what we want and what we need. This is what we want and what we need. This is what we want and what we need, what we want and need, what need and want. This is what we want and what we need, and we need at this very moment, in the now and the forever and the forever and the now and the now and the forever and the forever and the now and the right now and the forever and the now and the right now. We need it like a shower all over our body. Yeah, like a shower all over our body, like the sunshine kissing our faces. Yeah, like the sunshine kissing our faces.
Thank you, Mayor, for that powerful, powerful performance. I'd like to welcome back to the stage Reverend Timothy Atkin-Jones to present the Community Builder Award.
Podium indeed still on fire. It is my honor to present the Community Builder Award to a group of people that have been so incredibly important to the work of the Institute this year. As I hope everyone is aware, the Institute is leading a statewide, multiracial, multi-faith campaign entitled Say the Word Reparations. This coalition has been working to press pending legislation to establish a reparations task force, as Ryan told us a few moments ago. This task force would study New Jersey's unique history of slavery and the lingering structural racism, and present sweeping policy recommendations that would include various forms of investment back into Black communities. This task force would do the work of revealing a history of racism in our state which is often demurred or outright ignored, partly due to our northern geographic presence. The work of faith is the work of revealing, of unveiling, of helping things to be seen that can't normally be seen. And so these faith allies are an offshoot of the larger Say the Word coalition. And they are not only the heart of the group, but they're working to revive the heart of our state with passion and great effort to push this legislation, holding events, having conversations with elected officials. And I'm so glad that we are celebrating these faith leaders on tonight, because for far too long, the national conversation around faith and government has been limited to a few hot-button talking points. But I can say boldly that these faith allies do this work because of their faith, not in spite of it. It is their faith that inspires and connects them to a God that calls us beyond our own individual well-beings, a faith that calls us to make this world a more loving, just, even, and equitable place. It is their faith that drives them towards social justice. And these faith allies have been committed to reparative justice. They've been persistent in this fight, even when it has not been popular. So if it's true then that we must speak those things that aren't as if they were, then these faith allies remind us through their work that we must keep speaking reparations, that we must keep saying the word. And in faith, this task force is helping us to see that larger task force come to fruition. And so please join me in celebrating as I present this Community Builder Award to the New Jersey Faith Allies for Reparation Task Force. They're represented tonight by Rabbi Joel Abraham, the Reverend Dr. Darrell Armstrong, who will be represented by Trustee Jerry Harris, Reverend Anya Samla Michael, Aman Waeed Dean Sharif, Rabbi David Weisberg, who is not here, and who will give remarks on behalf of this coalition and the larger task force, the Right Reverend William H. Stokes. I want you to put your hands together as they come forward on tonight.
Thank you so much. I can hold it behind you. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you. It's how good to be with colleagues up here. Thank you so much. Will you please say the word reparations? Reparations. Say it one more time. Reparations. Outstanding. Advocacy is power. I've been selected to speak for the clergy standing here this evening, but we also want to be clear that we are symbols of many, many more people, clergy and lay alike, who make up New Jersey Faith Allies for a Reparations Task Force. Say the word reparations. Reparations. And we are honored and humbled to accept the New Jersey Institute's Community Builder Award on behalf of all these hardworking people. I would be remiss if I did not name Canons Barbie Bach, who's with us tonight, Annette Buchanan, who's not, Noreen Duncan of the Episcopal Diocese of New Jersey, who, when I was asked by Ryan Haygood if I could get a group of faith allies together to advocate for the reparations legislation in New Jersey, responded with their complete support. They were chairs and continue to serve as chairs or workers on the diocesan reparations efforts. And by the way, if we as a diocese can do it, the state of New Jersey can do it too. We also had early support from Ronain Mahdi Ibn Zayed of the Unitarian Universalist Church, and the Unitarian Universalist, represented by Reverend Anya here, has been incredibly powerful in their support of this. We also, Amy Winkler, Joel Abraham, all of the clergy up here. We acknowledge Darrell Armstrong's not able to be with us tonight, as I understand it. Can I say that he's dealing with a pastoral issue. One of his parishioners was shot and killed, and so he's having to minister to his community and the family of the victim and all those involved. So please, we hold him and that community in our prayers. Again, too often an occurrence in our state and in our nation. John Pierre Brutus has been an amazing partner with us in coordinating our efforts with those of NJISJ. John Pierre Brutus, thank you so much. And of course, we need to recognize the leadership of Ryan Haygood, Laurie Beecham, and all the staff at the Institute. In 1935, American sociologist, historian, civil rights activist, and author W.E.B. Du Bois published his influential book titled Black Reconstruction in America. In a chapter that dealt with the propaganda of history, you hear that, right? The propaganda of history, Du Bois observed, quote, "Nations reel and stagger on their way. They make hideous mistakes. They commit frightful wrongs. They do great and beautiful things. And shall we not best guide humanity by telling the truth about all of this, so far as the truth is ascertainable?" Well, the truth about this is ascertainable. Truth-telling, demythologizing, and demythologizing our history and looking for accountability are what we have been about in urging the state of New Jersey to pass legislative bills A938 and S386. You got that? A938, S386, establishing the New Jersey Reparations Task Force to conduct research and develop repertory proposals and recommendations to address the generational harms caused by New Jersey's role in America's institution of slavery and its legacy of systemic racial discrimination. As we all know too well, too often, New Jersey has been on the wrong side of history. The partnership of New Jersey Institute of Social Justice and the Faith Allies, say the word, reparation, has had realized ongoing success with public actions, with contacting legislators and pressing them, and also really working hard to get local municipalities and governments to sign on to reparations work. And so far, 12 municipalities and townships have done so, including Lawrence Township, Trenton, Newark, Mercer County, Montclair, Plainfield, and others. So we give thanks for that work and encourage you to press your municipality to do the same. Thank you so very much. God bless you, and thank you for all your work in these areas. Thank you all. Thanks for the privilege of letting me speak. I hope that was okay.
Thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you, New Jersey Faith Allies for Reparation Task Force, for advocating for reparative justice in New Jersey, and for your meaningful words, Bishop Stokes. We now welcome to the stage President of PSE&G Foundation and Director of Corporate Social Responsibility, Calvin Litford, to present the first Corporate Leadership Award of the evening.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? As stated, my name is Calvin Letford, President of the PSEG Foundation and Director of Corporate Social Responsibility. And I want to thank you this evening for this opportunity and honor to be able to introduce my friend and colleague, Mr. Rick Thigpen, Senior Vice President of Corporate Citizenship at PSEG, who will accept the Corporate Leadership Award on behalf of PSEG. But before I go into my introduction, I do want to take a moment and personally thank Ryan Haygood, his staff, and all of the Institute for all of the work that you do. We're in a time now where your work is really needed, and I want you to stay encouraged, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. I'd also like to congratulate all of the awardees and speakers this evening on receiving such awards. Congratulations to each of you. Tonight's theme, advocacy is power. And frankly, I cannot think of a better person to represent PSEG and accept this award on behalf of our 12,500 employees. Rick, a true New Jersey native. For more than a decade, we've worked together, and his relentless passion and energy for social and environmental justice has always been apparent to all. From day one, Rick has been an advocate for change within PSEG and wanting it to reflect the communities we serve. Rick's personal mission and the mission of PSEG is inclusivity for all. Rick has played a significant role in helping to change our culture and helping us become a company that is more reflective of the community we serve. Rick has also been at the forefront of making significant progress in attracting and retaining women and people of color into our workforce. I should also note, Rick has helped to increase our spending with women and minority-owned businesses over the last 10 years. And just so you know, that category has tripled in that time period. Furthermore, Rick is currently the chair of the Board of Trustees for the PSEG Foundation. And with that, you should know that the PSEG's corporate citizenship and philanthropic support embodies a culture that embraces social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion within the communities that we serve. He's helped to bridge partnerships that uphold a deep connection for our communities, extending our philanthropic efforts to help ensure that everyone has access to the necessities of life. For those reasons, I personally see this award as a motivation and inspiration to double down on our efforts. And the person who will continue to help drive these efforts is the person I'm so thrilled to begin to invite to the stage. I've shared with you some very important words. Come on up, bro. I'll share with you some very important I've shared with you some very important words I think it's important for all of you to hear about Rick. But there is one other thing that I think is also equally as important. And I think it's the very thing that really unites Rick and I. Most people in this new room know there's no daylight between Rick and I. He's a colleague and he's a friend. But that thing that unites us is that belief that both of us have in that old motto, old saying, started in the late 1800s with the national advancement of colored women. The mission at that time was lifting as we climb. And for Rick, he believes in it as I do. The next voice you'll hear is that of Mr. Rick Thigpen.
Thank you, Calvin. Check is in the mail. So I accept this award on behalf of public service, and Ryan, you're going to make me look good in my office, so I thank you for this very much. So it's really a privilege to be here, and I want to join Calvin, who really said it all, and also echoing our appreciation and thanks for the Institute for Social Justice. Not only am I a personal fan of Ryan, but obviously the work you're doing and the lessons you've taught us about disparities in New Jersey are absolutely outstanding. And to tackle the challenge of reparations and to try to make that a constructive conversation between people is only to be admired. And if you can pull that off, Ryan, I don't know if I have to finish that sentence, do I? So it's truly impressive. So I'm hoping some of you have heard about that little company called Public Service down the street. We're proud to have a long history of supporting the Institute. Al Coppi was on your board many years ago. And our brand new CEO, Ralph LaRosa, was serving on the board of the Institutes for Social Justice, and he's now the man in charge of associating public service with social justice to help us be more successful in the future. As Calvin said, my job is corporate citizenship, and I've learned about public service from a man named Donald Payne. I worked for Donald Payne for many years. I see Sarah sitting here who worked for his son as well, and he taught me quite a lot about public service, and I'm trying to bring those concepts into this public service down the street here. Does anybody send us a check every month here? Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, it's my hope that public service and social justice come together in people's minds and that they recognize that we are going to find success by helping make New Jersey a better place. You know, in fact, our founder, a guy named Thomas McCarter, who founded this company to deliver electricity, gas, and trolley service, his motto was to help make New Jersey a better place to live and to work. And he was a politician. In fact, the mayor's left. He was the campaign manager for the last governor of New Jersey to come from the city of Newark in 1901. And his view of public service was quite different than Donald Payne's for sure. But in this world of demographic change and climate change, public service and the concepts of public service are going to help this corporation be more successful in the future. So it's my hope to use this award and to ask all of you all to help me wish the best of luck to our new CEO, Ralph LaRosa, to help make public service a company committed to social justice and to continue in its long tradition of helping make New Jersey a better place to live and to work. If I've done that as an executive in corporate citizenship, I feel I've been very successful and my time is worth it. And Ryan, your faith in me will not have been misplaced. So I really want to thank all of you. You know, we've worked hard with the mayor of Newark on building switching stations that include economic opportunity as well as creating jobs for local people. We're now creating green jobs in the world of energy efficiency for people who didn't have opportunity in the past. And we are also working on tackling the challenge that we started with the Institute for Social Justice on creating job opportunities in prisoner reentry so that public service can be known by all of you as a company that's really helping make New Jersey better. And I wish you all the luck in the world on the challenge of reparations and to having a constructive dialogue, because we all know the past is not in the past. Anybody doubt that? The past is not in the past, and a constructive conversation about how we can go forward and make the past better for everybody is really going to make our state better. So I'll focus on climate change, Ryan, and you focus on reparations, and hopefully public service will be a partner to help make this a better state. Thank you for the award, and please keep good old PSE&G in your hearts and minds, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick, for all you and PSC&G do for social justice. We now welcome the Institute's Board of Trustees Chair, Paulette Brown, to share some words.
Good evening, everyone. I didn't hear the people over there say anything. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Carolyn. I see you up there, my friend. So you all, I don't have to say who I am because it's already been announced by God. But I'm Paulette Brown, and I am enormously proud, overwhelming proud, to serve as the chair of the Institute's Board of Trustees. It's not in my remarks, but I don't look like any of the past board chairs. Just saying. But it makes me even more thrilled to be with all of you here tonight, not just because it's a spectacular affair, because it is. Just look around, and I will tell you that NJPAC said not another person can come in here tonight. So we are enormously thrilled that all of you are here to celebrate with us and to celebrate our incredible honorees. And I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the honorees for all that you've done, for all that you continue to do. And you've heard from a couple of them already, and say the word. And you know what, and this, I'm really going off script, I'm sorry. But what amazes me is all we're asking is for a task force. A task force. We're not asking anybody to go into their pockets right now, although they should. We're only asking for a task force at this point. So it is really important that we keep this in the forefront. And I'm going to talk about that anyway. But tonight is not for me to really get on my soapbox, although it's really tempting, but it's an opportunity to really celebrate the Institute and all of its many accomplishments. You heard from my boss, Ryan, earlier about the work and the advocacy of the Institute. So, you know, there are just so many opportunities. And so I really am here to thank all of you for making this possible. And for our supporters, I want to take a moment of special privilege and welcome the president of the American Bar Association, who took time from her grueling schedule to be here tonight. Deborah Enix Ross, thank you. I don't like to single many people out because all of you are so very special, and I wish I could really call all of you by name, but I had to call her out. So sorry about that. And I also just wanted to mention Tiffany Williams Brewer. Proud to say she's one of my mentees. Every time she sings, I am completely mesmerized. When I became chair of the board, I knew from some years as a trustee what the Institute was about. I knew that the Institute never stops. They go more than the ever-ready bunny. They give him a run for his money. And that it stays true to its mission. You heard about it. Mayor Baraka talked about it. Brian talked about it. And what the Institute does is to identify barriers to justice, to democracy, to equity, to the ability to thrive, and then they put their nose to the grind, but to the grindstone, as my mother would say, to identify the most strategic and effective ways to tear down those barriers through advocacy, to build power through advocacy, and then make change through advocacy. They are the consummate change agent. And even though I knew that already, my respect for Ryan and his team has only grown. This is an extraordinary team of advocates. I'm amazed on a daily basis. Sometimes I can't even put into words when they do something else spectacular. I marvel at the work of this small but mighty team. I also know that none of this work would be possible but for the generous contributions of all of you and all of this evening's supporters. I give my heartfelt thanks to our premier sponsors, who you will find on the back of your program, to our silver sponsors, to our bronze sponsors, and in particular to our gold sponsors, our highest level. A special thanks to you, to Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, and one of our honorees who will be introduced later, Zanola Harper, is from Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I just want to add a special thanks to Zanola for introducing several law firms to us. I hope that all of you who are here at the urging of Zanola will be inspired by the work of the Institute, and you will remain our partners as we continue to do our work. I'd also like to recognize as a gold sponsor PSEG. You just heard from Mr. Thigpen, one of our honorees. I knew him when he was so young. Bank of America and R.W. Barnabas Health. Round of applause. And to all of our sponsors. I also want to thank our donors who give throughout the year because they believe in the work that we do. I often say, you hear a lot about people talking about special sauce and all that kind of stuff that makes us wonderful. But, you know, we do have that special sauce. Everyone from its cadre of professionals at the Institute to its leader, and again, my boss, Ryan Haygood, To all of my fellow trustees who stood earlier tonight, and I hope that you saw them, and I hope that you'll have an opportunity to speak to them. And all of our sponsors and supporters are ingredients of that special sauce. But there's one person who I want to talk about right now who is a major contributor of that special sauce, and it is our immediate past chair, Doug Eakley. He's right there. He's trying to hide. He's shy and demure. Doug, he has made so many contributions to the board, which is why, and not just to the board, but just in general, which is why he's so deserving of being the recipient of the Alan V. and Amy Lowenstein Social Justice Award. So, Doug Eakley, when Alan Lowenstein, when this concept came to his mind, he knew that he wanted somebody like Doug, somebody who he knew was committed to being of service, to being committed to social justice, that it was in his bones, in his DNA, to be a part of it. And so it came to be. Doug was the original people on the Articles of Incorporation, and he has been really involved from the Institute from its very inception. He is a signatory on the Articles of Incorporation. And so Doug served as chair of the board for about a decade. And through that time, he's had some challenges, and he saw them through. He led the Institute through a time of recession. He brought us to a stable financial place. He brought us leadership in the form of Ryan Haygood. He helped raise the bar for everyone, including me, and set such high standards. I don't know if I can fill those shoes, but I'm going to try. He's a hard act to follow. He's provided sound guidance and counsel, but he understood the role of the board and understood that the board gives guidance and that you let our qualified, extremely amazing professionals do the work that they need to do and to let them be independent. He has brought expertise that is unparalleled to the board. And some of you may know that Doug recently received the Equal Justice Award from Legal Services of New Jersey and was inducted into their Equal Justice Library and Archive Circle of Honor. So this is where I get personal, because it is in the context of legal services that I have come to know and adore Doug. Doug was the chair of the search committee for a new executive director of the National Legal Services Corporation. I don't know how or where he found my number, but he called me and asked me to serve on the committee. I have never seen anyone so committed to legal services, so dedicated on his mission. I think I was president of the National Bar. I was in Canada, and he tracked me down and said, I need you to come back here to do this. And so when Doug speaks, and you know he's committed to social services, so you just come. And you just march in line, and you follow him because you know you're going to end up in a good place. And so since that time, we have become friendly, and I know that you were one of the co-conspirators to get me on the board. And so I forgive you for that one transgression. But really and truthfully, from my heart, Doug, I am really proud to follow in your footsteps, and I hope that I can live up to all of the great foundation that you have set for me and for us as we continue on this amazing journey. You are so deserving of the Alan and Amy Lowenstein Award. I can't begin to tell you, and glad to call you my friend. So come on up, Doug.
Thank you, Paulette. This award means a great deal to me. And the reason it does is because Alan and Amy Lowenstein and the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice mean a lot to me. In my office at the Rutgers Law School, there's a picture of Alan and Amy in the middle panel of the wall with an NJISJ logo. To the right of that picture is a page taken out of the November 10, 1988 New Jersey Law Journal, where there's a picture of me presenting an award to Alan Lowenstein on behalf of Legal Services of New Jersey. The circle doesn't necessarily start there, but it's part of it. I joined the Lowenstein Sandler firm as a partner in 1993, I think it was. On the left side of the picture of Alan and Amy, there's another framed certificate recognizing my appointment as the first occupant of the Alan V. Lowenstein Chair in Corporate and Business Law, and so it goes on. Alan and Amy, throughout their entire lives, were committed to their family, they were committed to their community, and they were committed to the cause of social justice. They founded, they formed, and they funded the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, and we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for them. Some of you, I know some of you have heard this before, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. It was 25 years ago that Alan came to me and explained his and Amy's plans for what they had already named the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. Typical Alan, he had already incorporated the Institute, or the Articles of Incorporation were prepared, the bylaws were prepared, and a third document was also prepared, and that was a document listing the names of the individuals that Alan and Amy wanted to serve on the first inaugural board of the Institute for Social Justice. That list was headed by the former Attorney General of the United States, Nicholas Katzenbach. Second on the list was Dickinson R. Debevoise, a beloved judge and friend and mentor to so many of us. Dick's son is here tonight. I'm pleased to report. It was noteworthy but not surprising that everyone on that list readily accepted the invitation to join the board. Perhaps somewhat more surprising to some of us, at least, was Alan's decision not to serve on the board, although he would join every board meeting and sit in, but he basically preferred to let us define the mission and strategy of the Institute and hire its executive leadership. Over the years, the Institute has proven its commitment to advancing social justice and its ability to serve that cause effectively. I am so proud, and I know Alan and Amy would have been so proud of what the Institute has accomplished so far and what the Institute is poised to continue to produce and accomplish going forward. I offer my thanks and gratitude to our great president and his magnificent team and our dedicated board of trustees. I also want to convey my congratulations to the other honorees this evening, and I want to convey my thanks to all of you in attendance tonight for your interest in and support of the Institute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug, for those powerful words and for all you have done and continue to do for the Institute and New Jersey. We now welcome to the stage Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO Gary St. Hilaire to present our second Corporate Leadership Award of the evening.
Good evening. So I know some faces, mostly from Zoom. I had the opportunity to start in my role in the midst of the pandemic, so it's great to see a lot of faces. I do want to take a moment and congratulate Ryan and your incredible team for everything that's been accomplished and all that you do across New Jersey. I'm grateful to be here to be able to introduce our own Zanola Harper. You heard a little reference to her earlier. She is our Vice President of Litigation, Labor, and Employment, but she's so much more. So she is a masterful litigator, and her incredible experience includes business counseling, litigation, labor and employment, mergers and acquisitions, government investigations, risk management, governance and compliance. But that's only part of what really has brought her to the table. I think those of us that know her especially appreciate her ability to handle high-stakes matters with grace and diplomacy, mixed with the right amount of professional candor and objectivity. And I have been subject to that candor. A few months after I joined Horizon, I asked Zanola to lead a team of cross-functional leaders to assess how Horizon was doing in terms of our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And while Horizon had a very good reputation in these areas in the past, it was clear that we needed to challenge ourselves to go even further and to do more. And I must say, one of the best things I did was make that decision to ask Zanola to lead this group. So after a lot of thoughtful review and a lot of work that the team did, they developed our pledge for positive and lasting change. It's a big part of what Horizon has been about in the last year and a half. And our enterprise commitment is known through our culture of excellence commitment, which has the essence of that pledge embedded in it. We are focused on making sure that we more fully reflect the diversity of the communities we serve, and that we work with our provider partners to address healthcare disparities related to race and social barriers, and that we collaborate with other leading organizations across the state who drive social justice and equity. And of course, that includes the Institute at the front and center. I think this work is a big part of who we are becoming. It's our focus on our culture of excellence, and our employees embrace that wholeheartedly. And while it was an important step for us to make, I say that it was important to go beyond the words. Oftentimes we see pledges, we see commitments, and they're great words. And because of Zanola's leadership, we went beyond words. So that team did an amazing job of doing a gap analysis, where we were short, and coming up with a game plan. And a big part of that game plan now is holding our team accountable to making sure that we follow through on that pledge. So I know Zanola's been passionate about addressing inequalities, and particularly healthcare disparities, unequal access to quality education, and impediments to economic security and advancement. So there's a few things here that I didn't know about Zanola. A few I did, but a few I didn't. I'm going to read this off. So she is the chair of the Board of Trustees of NJ LEAP, which is a college access and success program for underserved youth in the Newark area. She's also led initiatives to benefit the Newark Boys Chorus School and received the school's 2021 Leadership in Corporate Citizen Award. She was recently appointed to the American Bar Association Task Force on Racial and Economic Justice, and was honored as a trailblazer by the Executive Woman of New Jersey. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, join me in welcoming and thanking Zanola Harper for her great contributions.
Good evening, and thank you for this honor. It's particularly humbling to accept this award alongside these great honorees. And I congratulate each and every one of you but also thank you for your passion, your advocacy, and your courage. We empower our members to achieve their best health. That's Horizon's mission, that's our North Star. It seems simple, but I want to share with you something about these 9 words that are relevant to why we are here tonight. To start with, the mission doesn't say certain among us or a few of us at Horizon who are interested, it says we. And every employee at Horizon, no matter what their role, has an obligation to serve our members. We empower our members. We are not your doctor. We do not prescribe medicine. We do not treat you, but we provide you with the tools to achieve your best health. And our mission doesn't say some of our members, it says members, and that means all of them. So the murder of George Floyd put that mission in even more focus for us. There are times in our lives that we know we have to do something. We have to do something different. We have to take action differently. And this was one of those times. It was a moment that you could not look away or forget. It was a moment that required each and every one of us to do something meaningful to bring about creative, positive change. Because this was not okay. And that extended to individuals as well as corporations. So at Horizon, we focus on what we could do best as a health insurer, and that is address healthcare disparities related to race. And that's why we developed the most comprehensive program in the state addressing the social barriers and social determinants of care that affect our members achieving their best health. And that's why we're recruiting more doctors who share the lived experiences of our members. And that's why we funded a scholarship at Rutgers School of Dental Medicine to encourage underrepresented dental students. And that's why we engaged Rutgers University and the March of Dimes to offer unconscious bias training to doctors. And that's why we're working with the governor and the First Lady to change New Jersey's dismal and frankly shameful maternal mortality rate for women of color. And that's why we partner with and support organizations committed to social justice, health equity, and economic opportunity like the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. We know that righting the wrongs of the extreme social and racial injustices that have taken place since 1619 is not going to happen easily. But we also know it isn't someone else's job. It's our job. Each and every one of us, acting alone and acting together, individual and corporation, doing something with purpose to bring about positive change. Take a step, then another, and then another. And as one very wise individual reminds us, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Thank you so much for this honor.
Thank you, Zanola and Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, for all you do for social justice. Institute President and CEO Ryan Haygood will now present the National Social Justice Award.
Race, to the degree it represents anything coherent in the United States, is shorthand for a specific set of life probabilities. The inequalities between Black and white Americans are documented in the rates of morbidity and infant mortality, in wealth and unemployment, which attest that although race may be a biological fiction, its reality is seen in what is likely to happen in our lives. The more than 40 million people of African descent who live in the United States recognize this reality, but it's largely invisible in the lives of white Americans. Dr. Jelani Cobb, one of the leading public intellectuals of our time, my longtime friend, and now the Dean of Columbia Journalism School, wrote these poignant words in June 2020 in a New Yorker piece entitled American Spring, just 1 month after the murder of George Floyd. Both advocacy and journalism, and one could argue life itself, are about storytelling. The story that Dr. Cobb, my friend Jelani, tells with these words are close to the Institute's heart and close to our work, which focuses deeply on racial inequality that Black people and other people of color confront both across this state and across the country. Racial inequality that was created by design. An expert on the intersection of race, politics, and history in America, Jelani's clear voice and powerful pen urge us to confront the reality of that design and its enduring consequences and to move forward. I've known Jelani as a friend for many years. I also know him as a journalist and the kind of journalist that America needs. He became a staff writer for The New Yorker in 2015 after contributing since 2012. His pieces in The New Yorker are focused on race, injustice, and the police, and he was awarded in 2015 the Sidney Hellman Prize for Opinion and Analysis. He was a co-editor of The Matter of Black Lives, an anthology of New Yorker writings on race in America, including works from James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, and Ta-Nehisi Coates. Jelani's been a correspondent for PBS's Frontline, where he's covered stories central to life in America today, including here in Newark in a classic piece called Policing the Police, a piercing look at policing here in the city of Newark, of which I had the honor of being a part. That piece won the Walter Bernstein Award from the Writers Guild of America. Jelani was also featured in 13th. You all saw that there was Ava DuVernay's Oscar-nominated documentary, which looked at mass incarceration through the lens of the 13th Amendment. He keeps it going, though. Jelani is also the author of The Substance of Hope, Barack Obama and the Paradox of Progress, as well as, just to show you the versatility and the range, To the Break of Dawn, a freestyle on the hip-hop aesthetic. You slept on that. So there's Barack Obama and the Paradox of Progress, and To the Break of Dawn, a freestyle on the hip-hop aesthetic. Jelani graduated from Howard University and Rutgers University, where he received his doctorate in American history. And now, of course, as was shared, Jelani serves as the Dean of Columbia Journalism School. Jelani, he talks a lot about maintaining what he describes as, quote, realistic optimism. This kind of optimism, he said, is realistic in that it understands that things are not necessarily okay and that they may turn out to be even worse. But the optimism lies in the sense of survival and the ability to transcend the moment. I'm an optimist, he says, but I have the optimism of a boxer in the late rounds. You've absorbed a lot of pain and a lot of difficulty, but if you're still on your feet, there's still a chance. Well, Jelani, there's no one better to keep us focused on taking hold of that chance and turning it into change. And it is with great gratitude for your work that it's my honor to invite you to this stage to accept the Institute's National Social Justice Award. I want to say thank you to Ryan for thoroughly embarrassing me. Thank you to my wife, Danielle, who's here with us tonight. And also, I want to say, before we start all the other accolades, I'm very honored to be here with this young woman, Darnella Frazier. And I say that as a journalist, because essentially what we're called to do is to give people the information that they need to make decisions about their lives. I have students, the sharpest journalism students in the country, who I talk to every day. What are we here to do? We are here to give people the information that they need to make decisions about their lives. And this young woman is among our ranks. She is a great journalist. So I want to say thank you. I also am honored that I got to kind of follow my brother Raz Baraka, who I've known since I was 18. And, you know, we started by teaching each other. We created a study group, and we read, and we learned, and we educated each other. We were trying to understand the precise nature of the problems we saw around us in order to formulate what our response to them would be. And so throughout the various points, I know he's not here, but throughout the various points of our lives, we have continued to do that. We've been sounding boards for each other. And so I'm honored and humbled to be here in the city that he is mayor of. And finally, I'll say this. At my core, the most basic thing that I am is a writer. If you ask me how I came to be a writer, I will tell you the origin moment is in my father taking his large hand and framing my small hand when I was 4 years old and teaching me to trace the alphabet. My father had a second grade education. When he went out, whenever he would come home, he would bring me notepads. That was always his gift. He would give me notepads and pens. As a child, I didn't understand. He was trying to set me up to get the things that the world had denied him. And I've been on this mission. I have pursued this path that my father and mother set me out on. I went to schools in New York City, public schools in New York City, during the worst of the crack era, when violence was skyrocketing. I made it to Howard University. It took me 7 years to graduate because I went to school when I had money. When I didn't have money, I didn't go to school. And I eventually finished. I decided that I wanted to get a PhD. And that took another 7 years. I continued and pursued it. And so people will tell me, look at you, you beat the odds. And that only infuriates me because I want a world where we don't have to beat the odds. I want a world where the odds are stacked in our favor. And so that's what I have tried to do. That's what the purpose of my work is. If there's any utility or any usefulness in it, I hope it is that. And I'm honored and humbled again that the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice saw fit to honor the work that I have done. And Ryan, you're just a little bit this much taller than me. And so I'm always looking up to you. I continue to look up to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jelani, for your impactful journalism and those moving words. And now we welcome Paulette to the stage to present our final and very special award of the evening, the Racial Justice Champion Award.
Good evening again. We have now arrived at a truly special moment of the evening. So many have talked about George Floyd, and Zanola talked about how we could not turn away. And the reason we could not turn away is because of Darnella Frazier. And so I could not be more moved, more humbled, more proud to introduce and present the National Racial Social, see, I'm so nervous. I told Darnell in the ladies' room, I was nervous. I said, we could be nervous together. The Racial Justice Champion Award to our next honoree. There is so much that can be said about this incredible, amazing young lady. But before we get started, I want us to take a moment to listen for a few minutes for a news report from the day Ms. Frazier received a special citation from the board that awards the Pulitzer Prize for her act of extraordinary. Extraordinary is really not, extraordinary really minimizes what she did. Act of courage. I mean, I don't know that I would have had the courage to do what she did. And I would venture a wild guess that a lot of us in the room would not have had the courage to do what she did. And so I want to just take a moment and listen to and watch the video that was shown on MSNBC at this moment.
I heard George Floyd saying, I can't breathe, please get off of me. I can't breathe. He cried for his mom. He was in pain. It seemed like he knew. It seemed like he knew it was over for him. He was terrified. He was suffering. This was a cry for help.
Last thing before we go tonight, remember that from the Chauvin trial? That was the voice of Darnella Frazier. On the afternoon of May 25th, 2020, she was taking her 9-year-old cousin to buy snacks at an unremarkable corner store in Minneapolis called Cup Foods. Quite literally the definition of minding her own business, when she made a quick decision that would change the course of history. She took out her phone. She started recording what became the murder of a man in the street in broad daylight under the knee of a police officer. She chronicled the departure of life from the body of the man we now know as George Floyd. Today, Darnella Frazier was recognized with a special citation from the board that awards the Pulitzer Prize. As Reuters reported it today, quote, the citation at the 2021 Pulitzer Prize ceremony is a rare instance of the board recognizing the journalistic achievement of someone with no professional experience in the field, a striking distinction in the genre sometimes known as citizen journalism. Frazier, 18, was recognized for recording, quote, a transformative video that jolted viewers and spurred protests against police brutality around the world. And no, it is not hyperbole to say that Darnella Frazier's decision in that moment changed the world. People marched around the world. George Floyd's name has been spoken in remembrance in the Oval Office. It's the title of a proposed act of Congress. Indeed, what Darnella Frazier did in that moment was the definition of electronic journalism. As ugly and stomach-turning as the video is to watch, the question remains, would we be saying the name George Floyd were it not for the bravery and presence of mind of a young woman named Darnella Frazier?
It's usually not difficult for me to speak. But, it's hard for me to speak right now. And, the question still remains, would we be saying the name George Floyd had it not been for the bravery and the presence of mind of a very young woman named Darnella Frazier. I can't hear you. I would say we wouldn't be. We wouldn't have been paying attention because we know that this has happened before in our country. It has happened multiple times, but Darnella Frazier recorded it and made us watch. And so she changed the trajectory of history and how we looked at things. Several people talk about what has changed since that time. And we talk about what is a moment. Darnella did not create a moment, she created a movement that is still ongoing. And, you know, I watched, particularly in the legal profession, the impact that you've had on the legal profession alone. I remember when I started doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work, and before you filmed George Floyd's murder, there were maybe about 150, 200 diversity professionals in law firms. Now there are over 400 diversity professionals in law firms, and it's because of you. It's all because of you, and I'm off script again, but I can't help myself. So, you know, think about the fact that at the time this happened, Darnella was only 17 years old. 17. Imagine the courage and the presence of mind that she stopped and said, I have to do this, probably not so the world can see, but so that somebody can see what is going on. This man is begging for his life. He is calling for his mother. And somebody needs to know that. She was not thinking at the time what notoriety this is going to bring to me. She was only thinking about George Floyd and the fact that he could not breathe and that he was calling for his mother. Her purpose was singular. And it was not about her. And it's still not about her. And so we are just enormously proud. You know, I think about what she said. She said, I opened my phone and started recording because I knew if I didn't, no one would believe me. The presence of mind to do such a courageous act. I knew if I didn't, no one would believe me. And we know that that's true, especially of us, I have to say, as Black women, because sometimes we are just so invisible. But you made yourself visible, and you made George Floyd visible, and you made him live, and he is still within us in all that you have done to make that happen. So when you posted that on social media, I know you know what happened. You know, just as they said, all over the world, people took to the streets. New organizations were formed. In-house corporations were looking closer at this. They're seeing what has been going on for so long for the first time. And it's all because of you. I don't know whether you can really feel right now the magnitude of what it is you have done for all of us. You talk about a change agent. It is you. It is you. And so I am not going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on because I could. But I know people want to get out of here at some time tonight. But, you know, you've been awarded a number of awards. You've been recognized so frequently. And I know that there are many things that you've turned down. And I know that this is not over for you. And so, you know, she has had to testify, and it's still not over. So we need to keep Darnell lifted up in prayer and gird her with that continued strength so she can go on and do and become all that she ever wanted to be before she so innocently, so selfishly, so bravely videoed George Floyd. You know I said I was going to finish. I can't help it. But I really am going to finish. So you converted your cell phone into more than just the instrument for things to put on TikTok and other social media. You did something that showed people how much we need social justice. You did something that is so enormous that it could never be written off. You did something that is like indelible ink. And so we are so proud of you and all that you've done, all that you will do, all that you will become. Jelani wants you to be a journalist, and you're already that. But you know, the selfishness in me knows that you will be a fabulous lawyer. And I'm going to call you up in a minute, but I want to just, no. I just want to take a moment. Darnella's mother is here, Latanja Gillespie. Stand up, please. Mr. Gillespie, there was obviously something that you've done, that you instilled in Darnella, that caused her to have that kind of courage to make that film. So we thank you. And I also want to thank my friend Tracy Bransford. Because of our friendship, we were able to get Darnella here tonight. She is Darnella's representative. Stand up, Tracy, don't be shy. And so without further ado, because I really want to have some more ado, because I don't want this moment to end. But without further ado, I'm going to ask my boss, CEO President Ryan Haygood, to please escort Ms. Darnella Frazier to the podium. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Paulette. That was beautiful. I loved it. I want to say thank you to New Jersey Institute for Social Justice for honoring me with such a powerful award. I want to thank my mom and Ms. Tracy for being a wonderful support system every single time. My first testimony, I was cut off by the judge before I could finish my sentence. It's not about what I should have done, it's what the police should have done. I've held that guilt for a very long time, and tonight, I choose to let it go. tonight, I choose to let it go. It shouldn't be up to innocent civilians to save the lives of the people that are in the hands of the people who are supposed to protect and serve us. It doesn't matter who or what type of person George Floyd was. What mattered is that he should have been here the next day. My experience has taught me to never feel wrong for doing what's right. And I hope that everyone else leaves with that same message tonight. Thank you.
I just ask you all if you would just stand again as we close. I just want to acknowledge that we have the presence of our faith allies, and you know that part of what's powerful about faith leaders is that when they really hear that prophetic voice, they're not encumbered by machinery and politics. They're able to speak truth to power, irrespective of whether it's popular to do so. So I just didn't want to miss the moment of having the faith leaders, and we all are people of faith and people of conscience. And I want to congratulate all of the honorees. And please join me in giving a round of applause for the honorees. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight as we close. Give yourselves a round of applause. And then I want to acknowledge the NJPAC staff, the folks who've been serving us food and coffee and dessert. This is a total point of personal privilege, Chair Paulette Brown, but if you all, as you're standing, I would just ask you to extend your hands toward Darnella Frazier. And I just want you, if you wouldn't mind joining me in a word of prayer for her. Because yes, this is a gala, this is the Institute's gala, but Darnella Frazier is now 19. What she didn't share, she's had to move a number of times, her and her mom, to escape harassment from folks, law enforcement folks. She will no doubt go on to continue to change this world, including as an attorney, Darnella Frazier. I'm speaking it to existence. But I would like to just close by praying for her. And I'd ask you all, 400 people in our presence, including the mighty, mighty Carolyn Chang in the upper room, to pray for Darnella Frazier. And so, God, we thank you for this evening. God, we thank you that advocacy is power, that you've given us all a voice and a platform to advocate, to hold people in positions of power accountable for the people, to the people. And God, we lift up Darnella Frazier. And God, we thank you for her mother, that she made her to be a fierce champion for good. That God, she used her iPhone, she pressed record on her phone to capture what the world wouldn't believe if they didn't see it. So God, let us be like Darnella Frazier. Let us each press record. God, let us document the injustice we see so that we can begin to repair it. And God, we pray for your favor over Darnella's life. God, as often as we think of her, help us to lift her up in prayer, God. Help her to know that a community of folks, 400 strong, love her, encourage her, cheer for her. Help her to have the image of all of us extending our arms toward her. We thank you for her life. In the Almighty's name we pray, amen. Amen. Thank you all. God bless you, and have a great night.
Very good. Thank you all for attending tonight's event. Please see a volunteer if you need your parking validated. and remember to pick up your gift bag on your way out. We wish you safe travels home.